Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the art process series. And today we'll be doing an overview of my recent art session. And I was trying to work on learning how to illustrate the face. And in this case, it's more of the anime style where there's a bit more stylization because I do have a background where I did start off with more realistic sort of with a realistic base, with realism. But I did find it hard to be able to simplify, even if I know stylizing stuff or characters or any kind of subject is theoretically easy. The moment I started doing it, as you can see, it was fucking horrifying, bro. Like in this entire demo, the whole session, by the way, lasted like 2 hours. I was I was laughing the whole time because it was so hard to be able to. Oh, by the way, when it comes to these sketches, I did start out with reference. So what I did was I would study like the other or artwork of artists, like how would they or how did they do their sketches and how did they break up or break down the face, And I just needed that like a basic sort of feel of how these sorts of characters are done. And as as you could see, it was so hard for me to do. It's easier to copy things one is to one, realism style, but being able to like simplify things this way is a bit hard. I did learn from other. I will link a few videos that I kind of stumbled upon this week, but apparently when you do anime style or stylized kind of artwork, especially when you're doing the face, you want to think of it as a meme or an emoji, meaning you don't try to force 3D structural knowledge into your designs because it's not gonna look as good. Like what you want to do is prioritize more of the I guess the emotion or the visual look of it, the graphic look of it instead of the like if it's logical. Um and that was kind of hard for me to do because I do have and I think most artists, we do start out with realism, copying things one to one, seeing things as they are. So doing it this way, it seems so like wrong, but at the same time, you want to do it. So there's definitely a barrier that you have to go through. So I did start out with a sketch first, kind of a rough sketch, and I did want to go over that and try to define things a bit more. Just using a basic like pencil brush here to so it's still not as good. Obviously, the original artist has two things. They have their own style, number one, and obviously that style is based off of their experience. So these are two things I can't do, but it doesn't mean I can't learn from artists that I do study. So just by doing like maybe like spending like 15 to 30 minutes quickly studying or just copying someone else's artwork that you do like, that you kind of want to implement in your own work, I think is a great way to start out the session, especially for someone who's used to studying things realistically. It's just easier to kind of get into that mood of, or it's a great kind of gateway for you to come in and then to eventually, design your own stuff with more like shapy, less structured, less 3D kind of with the less 3D approach. So I'm not sure if I did anything in this stage, but I think I just wanted to define the sketch a bit more. Usually I like working just on one layer, but I think I just wanted to, just define things a bit more, and I wasn't satisfied with the very rough sketch I did in the beginning. And, just doing these exercises, I kind of realized that, you will, theoretically, I do know that there's a lot of exaggeration, but once you actually draw the thing, you will really understand that, oh shit, like I can actually push the eyes this far. I can like make it more, or I can even delete the nose. Like for example, with a lot of these sorts of artworks, you don't even have to illustrate the nose sometimes. And sometimes in certain perspectives you can or you should, but in other viewpoints, you don't even have to like indicate the nose, like even with a simple line. So that kind of freedom is very interesting. And I do want to be able to get that sort of experience. So one day I can, create my own characters and stuff like that. So when it comes to that 90-10 rule, kind of a thing I made or I thought of, is well, I didn't actually think of it. I saw another YouTuber talk about it. When you're trying to study art, you want to learn something. If you're trying to stay consistent, you want to have a positive feedback. If you're trying to study something that's so out of your comfort zone, you're not gonna want to continue that work. So you want to make sure that a good bulk of what you're trying to explore is already something you're kind of good at, and then just spend like maybe 10% trying to challenge yourself with something new. Right? For example, for this piece, I'm pretty good with the like I can like quickly jot down like the upper torso, so that wasn't that hard for me. Even if it's not perfect, I'm not like shy from it, or weird, or I'm not like shocked from doing this sort of thing. Even though again it's not perfect, but definitely the 10% is going to be the face. And you notice me, I'm not working on the legs, the lower torso, even the hair. I'm not paying attention as much to it. Um, by the way, I was struggling doing the face for this chick. She kind of reminds me of the Grinch. Hopefully, some of you are aware of this film. It's a green guy who's kind of ruining Christmas, and just search for Grinch and you'll find his face. And I was very disappointed in this sketch, but I wanted to do something without reference. I mean, I do have reference on the side, but I wasn't like copying it one to one. So I wanted to kind of test my skills, and it's so hard, by the way. But the only way to know how to train your imagination is to actually use your imagination. Even if it sucks, you're gonna have to do it eventually. So in this case, this was actually a mistake. I should not have started, painting, because I'm not even good at drawing. So why? I mean, maybe in this stage it was kind of okay, but I eventually ruined it, and it just went like to fucking. It was just trash the whole time, and I wasn't really happy. But then again, if I want to get good at this sort of thing, I'm gonna have to keep doing these sorts of um drawings, paintings, right? Until I eventually sort of get the hang of it. So it's more of a mileage kind of thing. I need to put in the work, put in the. It's worse now, by the way. Eventually, I did have to lower the opacity for that specific layer, or that thing you call a painting. And then I did a drawing on top of that. So I used it as a base, and I wanted to kind of this one was actually kind of okay. It's a bit more not realistic. It's still stylized, but I did struggle with the body a bit, and but for the face, proportion wise, it was kind of okay. It's still not like detailed in the I think right now I'm trying to just get used to learning how to like add in the basic shapes of a face, and I can just focus on improving my line work, improving my rendering or coloring later on. So I think as you keep progressing in this way, as you keep doing sketches, each sketch is it's not always going to be like a linear thing, but I think over time, on average, your sketches are going to get a little better. And I think in this like 2-hour session, like you can see me start from garbage to something that's a bit more like manageable or workable and not as painful to the eye, And I think for me, what's good here, or what I found out, is I'm not really good with the whole one try kind of thing where I figure out the whole face in one try. I have to do like a rough sketch in the beginning, and then maybe I'll do a layer on top of it, and then I'll do a drawing on top of that, and that's kind of it's very common practice. But I just thought that maybe I could have, it's kind of a dream, not a dream, but a kind of a I just thought I could do it in one go, but obviously I can't. And oh yeah, I also not figured out, but people do say that when you're doing anime types of faces, you want to think of cats as well, because of the way the nose and the mouth kind of protrude outward, kind of like a cat. Anyway, I think for the last sketch here, it was actually kind of a decent. Again, way better than the previous one I just did. So you can see this sort of like development that happens as you just keep pushing forward. And that's it. I was actually really happy with the results here, even though it took like 2 hours to get to this one somewhat acceptable sketch. It's still not perfect. It's far from what I imagined myself doing, but it's still good. So yeah, I'll see you in the next episode, and hopefully we can do better next time. So bye.